he just felt really off. His legs got a really heavy, just like lead feeling, and a few minutes later, his vision started to get blurry. Lazaro kept on running and, told himself he was fine and that this was just, late race fatigue kicking in. And for what it's worth, it is pretty common for marathon runners to say that at about the 19 to 20 mile mark, that's sort of the real halfway of the race, not the 13-mile mark. The 20-mile mark is where your body really starts to struggle. That last 6 miles is notoriously brutal. And so he's basically saying that oh, that's normal. This happens when you hit about 20 miles. And so as Lazaro worked as hard as he could to put one foot in front of the other and just to keep on going, he began telling himself that, this was worth it. At the end of this, there was a stadium packed with people who would be screaming his name, and he was still making such great progress. He could still win this race. But then, just a little bit later, his legs went from feeling heavy to just completely giving out. And he slammed to the ground, and then his whole body began to convulse. Within the hour, at a local hospital, an emergency doctor greeted a crew of Olympic medical staff as they wheeled in a man on a stretcher. They explained that this man was named Francisco Lazaro, and he'd collapsed in the middle of the marathon. And the doctor was really not surprised by this. He knew the Olympic paramedics had been swamped all day, helping other marathon runners who'd gotten sick from this really oppressive heat. However, as soon as this doctor began specifically examining Lazaro, he knew that this case was different and was much, much more serious. His other patients that day had all relatively mild symptoms like sweating and general fatigue and dizziness, which had easily been cured by providing water and cooling them off. But Lazaro, he was twitching and convulsing, and he was shouting deliriously that he'd won the race. So the doctor rushed him into an exam room and took his temperature. And when he saw it was 106.7 degrees Fahrenheit, he knew this situation was critical. A temperature that high was often fatal, and Lazaro's organs were likely already shutting down. And so the doctor yelled for nurses and other medical staff to bring in some water and some ice, but Lazaro, he did not respond to the hospital's treatments. And as the hours passed by, Lazaro actually got worse. The doctor and his team, they worked through the night treating Lazaro and trying to stabilize him. But the next morning, Lazaro died. After Lazaro's death, that doctor just could not shake the idea that something just felt off about Lazaro's death. Heat stroke can definitely be deadly, and Lazaro had seemed to have a very bad case of heat stroke, but lots of runners had gotten heat stroke during this marathon, and all of them had wound up being fine. So the doctor ultimately decided to run some tests on Lazaro to see if maybe there was something else that had been going on, like maybe there was some underlying illness or other factor that was to blame for his death. And when the doctor finally did get those tests back, the results